To talk about the transforming defense capabilities of the country, its self-reliance, boosting defense production. Where is all this going? Where is the defense modernization program going? I'm joined on the show by Vice Admiral Shekhar Sinha, a retired Vice Admiral. He's former Chief of the Integrated Defense Staff. Thank you, Admiral, for joining on the show. Admiral Sinha, where do you see India's modernization program, that's good, the defense modernization program, going?
Well, thank you, Amrit, for getting me on your program. This is really India's on the march, and I think unless we have the defense industrial complex going, our becoming self-dependent, self-reliant is going to be difficult. And if you heard Secretary Peter Exet in Shangri-La last night, and he mentioned very clearly that he is also collaborating with India as far as the defense industrial complex is concerned. So that's a very good news. We are from a net importing country, we have become an exporting country, and I think it's close to 30,000 crore that we have exported. Firstly, we should be able to meet our own requirement. And that we saw in the latest operational Sindoor, where because we used our own ammunition, we didn't have any limitation on firing the missiles or the guns which were taking on the incoming missiles. So I think that, this is a big lesson we saw Sindoor, and this will lead to our industrial complexes where there is large amount of private sector participation and not only the government sector. So I think this is going to make us very, very independent, and we should be able to sustain this, two-front war strategy, etc., much better without having to worry to import anything.
Okay.
Amrit.
But sir, we still remain the world's second largest arms importer. I think Ukraine replaced us this year. We still have a very big component of our defense equipment, of our arms being imported. While, self-reliance is good, but how does it balance with battle readiness, because the forces need to fight now?
Well, Amrit, you got two questions on this. The first one that you talked about, that we are still importing and we are at the number 2 position. Absolutely right. Because we have a lot of legacy platforms in India. For example, our aircraft, for example, our many army stuff, and some of the components of missile. So you cannot phase them out overnight. But you will agree that from number 1 importer, we have become number 2, and this slide is going to continue. So that will happen. It is happening. And I think you will see as the defense production increases in India, the high-end equipment, high-end missiles, and high-end, UAVs are being built here. You will find that these numbers, we are going to slide down on that ladder, and rightly so. Coming back to the second question, what happens we have to want it now? Yeah, for now, we really have to be importing on a very selective basis. And for that reason, the government of Shri Narendra Modi ji has laid down very clearly that the first entitlement to procure will be designed, developed and manufactured in India. And thereafter, one by one, in case we have designed, but we have not been able to manufacture sufficient quantity, in that case, some imports we'll have to resort to. So I think this will continue till such time we become fully dependent on ourselves. But let me also tell you very quickly that it is sometimes wiser to buy things which are of lower end from outside, which may work out cheaper, rather than to produce something very small quantity. It may not make a financial viability or economic viability. For example, you showed the flash with the aircraft. Aircraft, yes. Missile, yes. These are the items which we can export, so that we have to make in large numbers, and therefore it is important that everything is indigenous in that. So I would say that there are various categories, buy global, buy India, buy and make in India. These are various categories where the armed forces have categorized a large number of these items, and as far as fully global is concerned, those numbers are decreasing by the day.
Okay. So, in your honest assessment, where do we stand as a country when it comes to cutting edge technology or defense production, critical defense weapon systems production? Do we have that sort of capability? Are we growing towards that? Where do we stand today?
Well, we have made a lot of progress. We have taken big strides, and if you see that our startups who have given some of them, they have given us equipment which has tasted blood in this last ops in Dood, and it has proven itself. And most of them have started from the startup. So we have to continue to encourage them. And startups, when once they become viable, then some bigger company must acquire it, and private companies as well. For example, for the AMCA, you just heard the other day that the Honorable Defense Minister has announced he has cleared a proposal in which it will be private public participation and it will be open for making an aircraft. Now, this is very path-breaking decision that he has taken. And I think that, these are good signs that at least the government at the level of the political dispensation, they have understood as to what is required for India to invest a lot of money in defense sector, including R&D and also for production, because the private industries will not be encouraged to manufacture, not encouraged to manufacture and only invest in R&D because they see there's no future for them, financial viability. So I think that we have started moving in that direction. We have caught up as far as the top end, the high end, high technology, as you say, cutting edge. We have already with 2, 3 countries, bilateral agreements. For example, the ICET, which is now known as some new name, the emerging and cutting edge technologies which are coming. And we are having our, that process is already on. And I think that we should encourage it. We should hasten the process of putting it into practice, transfer the technology and manufacture it. So I think the proof of the pudding is in having it, as you rightly say. And I think we are not very far, but I would say that we are somewhere halfway down there already.
Okay. So, staying on high-end weapon systems, for that kind of production to happen, you need a lot of investment into R&Ds. Now, that is heavy investment. Are our companies doing that, or earlier it was just the government, the DRDO, or related organizations? But does our private sector have those kind of deep pockets to invest into long-term research and development?
Not as much as one would like to see, Amrit. Mainly because the private sector at the moment does not have very much to gain from the defense industrial complex, if you like. Only when we start getting their participation in manufacturing, like for the AMCA project, and I would go to the extent of saying that even for manufacturing of missiles, most of it could be privatized, except for the integration part, which should remain in the sole domain of the PSUs or the DRDO. And that, if that happens, and I think we are heading in that direction. For example, Akash missile, there is no harm in industry making the outer casing and putting the propellant inside. As far as integrating it with the homing aid is concerned, let it remain with BEL, let it remain with DRDO. So it will give them some incentive of making it economically, financially more viable, and only then they will be able to invest money on R&D. There have been a lot of requests from the 3 chiefs, you heard them on CIA conference, that kindly, because you are making money now, you should invest in R&D and use that R&D with the help of DRDO for manufacturing something more. So I think that process has begun. I would like to put the figures, but I think the Tatas are spending a lot of money for R&D. Similarly, some other companies will also come up. There are not enough companies involved in defense manufacturing at the moment, but I think by privatizing most of these PSUs, defense PSUs, only keeping the core integration part with the PSUs will help.
Okay. So, the modernization program is only as good as how do you weigh or how do you punch compared to your adversaries. given the adversaries, given India's adversaries, where do we stand vis-a-vis them when it comes to modernization of the whole military, the modernization of military, including defense equipment?
As far as our Western neighbor is concerned, Amrit, I don't think we should talk about them because they have nothing of their own. As far as I see it, it is a vassal state. It is a front state of China, our northern neighbor.
But
and China is actually competing.
Sir, can I stop you here and ask you? This is often said about Pakistan, well, we don't even need to compare with them. We have numerical superiority, we have technological superiority, and they are dependent on China. But all said and done, even during this operation, they use Chinese equipment, so they remain an adversary. How does it matter if China gives it to them? Till the time they're using it against you, they remain an adversary, and a formidable one at that.
Yeah, you're quite right. My only point was that it does not make it on its own, and therefore we do not have a technology challenge from that end.
Okay.
We have a fighting challenge because our northern neighbor is giving its top-end equipment and platforms to Pakistan to fight with us. So that is true. But basically, I look at even this Op Sindoor is actually a battle between Indian technology, Indian import versus Chinese technology. Pakistan is only a front team, if you like.
Okay.
So you can say that it is one front war for us. It's not really two front because it is all Chinese equipment right from the western border till our eastern border. So I would believe that this is one big front that we have as far as technology is concerned to face. Yeah, it is coming from different direction, but that is how it will happen in war. You will not know where the enemy is coming from. So coming back to that, as far as China is concerned, Amrit, China is moving ahead in order to replace the United States of America from #1 position in the world. It may not be there, but it is working very hard. My own gut feeling is that, it may never happen because, the Americans are very innovative. They invent, they're inventors. China is only, progressing forward from a stolen technology, stolen IPR. But even to catch up with China, we are working hard. I won't say that we are there, but we have sufficient to take on the Chinese threat, even if it happens in the entire domain of our northern and western borders and at sea. At sea, we are positively, in a very good situation. Our Navy is much stronger as far as the firepower is concerned. But on the land border, yes, we have to continue to increase our capacities, capability we have, because we know what to fight with. We are already having it. But the numbers have to be increased fairly rapidly, and that is where I'll come back to the first point that you made, that the defense industrial complex has to go at a very high speed, open more factories, open more lines to manufacture very similar things, get the private sector involved, make it financial viable for them also to make profit. They will not work for loss. PSUs can work for loss, but the private sector will not work for loss. So their involvement, our export has to continue increasing simultaneously, which is happening. You see, we have already exported to 3-4 countries now.
Yeah.
Not only missile, even the guns are being exported. So I think that having started so late, maybe I would say after 2014, after Prime Minister Modi has come into power, that he has given a push. Prior to that, do you know that export of weapon systems was not prohibited by our law? That's the first hurdle that he has removed. And that is how from almost zero we have come to nearly 30,000 crores. So I think that we are moving. We have to increase our pace. But as far as our adversaries are concerned, let me tell you, our armed forces are quite capable of making better use, good use of the same equipment what the other countries are making use of.
Okay. All right. We leave it there. Vice Admiral Shekhar Sinha, thank you very much for taking our time and sharing your insights. Thank you, sir.